after you get what you are happy with, you're satisfied with the product. How do you market that?
Oh, gee. There's 1,000 different ways to do that. First of all, you can shotgun it out to the labels, and they usually just go in the trash. Unsolicited material. They don't take unsolicited material. So then you pull the strings that you know work, and so you can get by the front desk, and you find out that doesn't work either in most cases. It's really tough.
I'm sure it is.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
I don't care who you know, it's tough.
Or then you get people that get deals and they don't manage to do anything with them.
Oh
for
yeah.
periods of years.
Oh my God.
They don't know what to do with them sometimes.
I know. They'll go, God, this is great. Okay, yeah. Well, okay, we'll sign her. And then they get her and they go, uh-oh.
What do we do now? Yeah.
Okay, let's let such and such cut some stuff. Well, in this particular case, we're alluding to assigned it to a label. We did developmental work for 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, they said, she's ready. So let's sign the real agreement. Let's sign the real contract. We had a developmental contract. So that's 2 years. So then they didn't know what to do with her. So they sent her to another producer. Then they sent her to another one. 5, I think, total in the long run. And it all sounded like crap. They took her out of her. It didn't sound like her anymore. It was everybody's idea about what she ought to sound like. They forgot about what signed her there in the first place. The first thing that I cut on her then took to that label that got her signed. They forgot all that. So
That's got to be frustrating.
oh, it's very frustrating. But for the artist, they're losing years of potential earning capability. They're losing absolute years of their life. And in some cases, they may be too old by the time.
Yeah.
And then it took 5 years to get away from that label.
Wow.
5 years.
She had
Yeah.
under contract?
You're under contract for 5 years. Out of it now. But it took 5 years. And over $300,000 in the hole. And never had a record out.
Good Lord.
It's really weird. So, sometimes it doesn't matter if you get a deal. Sometimes they won't do anything with it. Sometimes, now you might think this is weird, but it's been known to happen. A label will sign an artist and never do anything with them, but they sign them to keep this other label from getting them.
Really? Just to
Oh,
bury
yeah.
them, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Got to be a little bit of politics involved here
That's
in Nashville. huh?
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I mean, how many different times did the label head change under that
Yeah.
one deal? You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
At least twice that I
Yeah.
can think of. And so when you have that happen, then everybody underneath kind of changes too, and artists get lost in that political shuffle because the old guy liked you and he got fired, so you must not be good, or you know, or we need to change your direction because that's not what I want you to do.
Yeah. Well, that's a big ego thing too. I mean, if you're going to stay here, I want you to sound like this. I want you to sound like what they were wanting you to sound like.
Wow.
And as it turned out, they didn't ever want her to sound like what she sounded like.
That's just lousy management, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think there's a management crisis in this country.
Oh, you should try.
It's not just a music business, it's everything.
Well, you should try a business where it's heart dependent and intellectual property
boy, I can
dependent
imagine.
and creative dependent. You're dealing with all that, and you have people that don't give a damn about any of that,
yeah.
who run the thing.
The bean counters versus the artists. Huh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when I moved here now.
Really?
We were confounded back in the old days.
It got to be corporate, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about the old days. Tell me about when you first got here. What was going on?
Well, 16th Avenue, Music Row, the real Music Row, 16th Avenue was 2 lanes and it went both ways. How about that? It went both ways, and down there where the Spence Manor thing is was a Sinclair station, I think, filling station on that corner. And there were a couple of different music businesses over on 17th and maybe one or two on 18th, but it was still a residential area.
Yeah.
Music City Recorders was down there, which is Studio 19 now. When I moved here, it was 8-track with 16 on the horizon. But everybody was wondering how they'd ever fill up 16 tracks. And now, you don't run out of tracks.
Yeah, many as you want, huh? Virtual
Yeah.
tracks.
Yeah.
I think you can do at least 200 and some. So.
Wow, is that right?
I don't think we've ever gotten close.
Yeah,
No.
they could get a little thick, huh? So who are some of the artists that you worked with when you first got here?
Well, the first one, the first record I did was a Bobby Goldsboro album. I moved here the 27th of October, and then November 5th, I was on a Bobby Goldsboro album.
Good Lord.
And big hit record came off of that. Watching Scotty Grow
Really?
came off of
You
that
played
album.
on that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And
That's a pretty good start.
it was a pretty good start. The 5th working day I lived here, I think. It was like,
How did you get the gig?
Larry Butler brought me to town
Uh-huh.
from Pensacola.
Okay.
We probably need to talk about that process too,
Yeah.
because that was an interesting process. That was another life-altering occasion, much like that lieutenant commander in Raleigh. That
Mm-hmm. Steered you towards music in the Navy, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that kept me from being a paint chipper
Yeah, really.
after flunking out of nuclear electronics. So Butler brought me up here, and the next week he had me on Bobby Goldsboro album.
Well, you got out of the Navy when? What year?
68,
68.
February 68.
Then you started to work with Bonnie about that time?
Bonnie
as soon as
Brooks,
you got out,
and
right?
I had a trio and Bonnie Brooks singing,
Okay.
and we worked at Mr. G's for a year.
I remember that.
Yeah. Then we moved over to Carpenters. Remember where Carpenters
sure
was?
do. Yeah, I do.
We moved
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
All of this in Pensacola, Florida.
Yep, all in Pensacola. And we had customers. This one couple who would come a time or two a week, and they wanted to listen to us. They liked our music, and had this kind of Ramsey Lewis kind of trio with a girl singer, with a chick singer. And so we had this one couple that I got to be pretty good friends with, and they had a nice boat out Gulf Breeze there in Pensacola, and they said, there's a piano player from Pensacola named Larry Butler, and he's in Nashville. And I went, great. I didn't know anything about Nashville. And they said, he's supposed to be really hot up there. He plays on records. I went, great. What's that to do with me? Nothing. They said, next time he comes back home for a weekend, we're going to get you together. I went, right. They called one day and they said, Larry's coming in this weekend. I want to get you together. I went, great. I'll go. Where is it? So I went. Carol and I went. You remember Carol?
Oh, yeah.
My wife at the time. Carol and I went, and he was performing at, I don't quite remember what it was. It was like Hometown Boy Does Good anyhow. He was like the
Local hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's up there playing, and I was going, God almighty, that guy plays.
Was a good player, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so he got
What kind
finished.
of music was he doing?
He played a couple of really up-tempo Floyd Kramer things. One of them was On the Rebound, and that's not an easy song to do. And he doesn't have a band or anything. He's having to do all that stride stuff with his left hand and all
Wow.
this other stuff with his right hand. And I'm going,
Yeah.
all that kind of thing. I said, how do we do that?
How do we know?
Oh, man. So he got through, and Carol said, okay, let's go talk to him. And I said, I'm not going. I'm not going. She said, what? I said, I'm not going to go up there and bother that guy. And Larry Butler, by the way, went on to produce some major records. Kenny Rogers records. He produced The Gambler, Coward of the County, all that stuff.
Not too bad.
So anyhow, I said, I'm not going up there and talk to him. I was scared. Carol said, "I'll be right back." She went and got him. Carol went and got him and brought him to me.
Really?
And there's another one. If it hadn't been for her, I would have gone home and never. I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
So, if it hadn't been for Carol, so brought him over to me. We shook hands, and he said, "Man," he said, "I've heard all about you. I've heard you're great." He said, "I'm flying back to Nashville in the morning. Why don't you go with me?" And I went, "Okay." I met him at the airport the next morning in Pensacola, bought a ticket and flew to Nashville with him. Spent 2 days, stayed out at his house. Went to sessions with him. He's playing on records like Eddie Arnold and Del Reeves and people that you hear on the radio every day. And I thought, God almighty. And the musicians, they looked like they enjoyed each other, had a great time. Red light came on, and they were serious about it. They played great. I thought, man, I can do that.
Tell me this: why would a piano player, great piano player in Nashville, go out of town and bring another great piano player into town to compete?
You
against
would
him?
think that would be self-destructive, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Why would he do that?
Well, actually, in my memory, Kelso Hurston was the president of Capitol Records at that time. Kelso had just hired Butler as an in-house producer for Capitol. That was his first production job. Well, as a result, he couldn't go play on other people's records all the time. He brought me up here to do the records he couldn't do.
For heaven's sake!
How about that? So, thanks to Carol bringing Larry Butler to me and him bringing me to town, I stayed up here 2 days, flew home, and 2 weeks later I lived here.
Where did you stay when you first came here?
His house.
No kidding. Wow.
And then the next week I did that Bobby Goldsboro album, and Butler was playing on it too. We were both playing.
Yeah.
He went to Bob Montgomery, who was Goldsboro's producer, and asked him to give me a shot. And he said that he actually wasn't going to have 2 keyboard players, 2 piano players, but he gave me a chance. I did every record Bob Montgomery ever did after that for the next, I guess, 22, 23 years till he retired.
So Bobby Goldsboro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever go on the road with him?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Did you have any fun?
Yeah, man. That was culture shock. And asked him to give me a shot. And he said that he actually wasn't going to have 2 keyboard players, 2 piano players, but he gave me a chance. I did every record Bob Montgomery ever did after that, and it worked their way up to the studios. Well, they had all told me, don't go on the road, whatever you do. You'll be riding in station wagons, and they break down in blizzards, and don't do it. You'll regret it the rest of your life. And I said, oh, I believe you. I'm never going to do it. And so Goldsboro called me after I did that album. He called me in January and said, I just wondered if you might want to go on the road and play piano, conduct the orchestra for me. And I went, no, no way. I ain't doing it. I'm not going. He said, well, you'll have a really good time. I went, nope. I'm thinking blizzards and broken down station wagons and all this crap. And
Which was all true, of course.
Oh, absolutely true. Yeah. So then he told me how much it paid, and I went, oh. Lord. The weird thing is that what it paid per week was what it took me 7 weeks to make at that club in Pensacola.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's a pay raise.
So I went, oh, okay, I'll give it a try, but I'm scared.